Hey, what's up, y'all? Welcome back to the podcast. Today's guest we have on Hannah Talbot. Hannah is a dear friend and a Reiki master of mine. She's helped guide me through my energetic path since I've started walking it, and has just been a real pivotal person in my life to help cultivate community and really understand the path and the process. So really excited to sit down with Hannah, and hope you get something out of the conversation. We'll see you on the other side. Hey, welcome back to Journey of the Modern Yogi. Today I have an amazing friend of mine who is very much a soul sister. If I can ever have a sister, she would be one of mine. Hannah Talbot has been just a light in my life since I met her as a friend, and now as a mentor, a teacher, a guide, a spiritual guru in a way. I mean, she is just encompassing a lot of names and monikers in my life, and I love you to death, Hannah. So we talk all the time.
I know, it's so funny. I'm like, we're gonna do a podcast.
Yeah.
This is just
we're just gonna record a conversation that we have
all the time. It's the best. That was a super sweet intro. I just love you so much. It's such an honor to like do this with you, especially since I've been hearing about this dream since, it was
we've been talking about for a little while.
Yeah, it's awesome. I'm stoked to be here. Thank you.
Yeah, well, thank you. And, right before we sat down, Hannah asked if if she could lead us through a grounding meditation.
Yeah, I just thought we better get heart connected, my friend. If we're going to be chit-chatting for a little bit, why not?
Definitely.
This is what we do. We might as well do it. We were just saying how often, we as practitioners forget to use the tools that we have.
Totally. I forget all the time, most definitely. So wherever you're at, if you're driving, you can just hit pause or fast forward, 15, 30 seconds, whatever.
Yeah. And even just breathe along with us.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, but find a little space if you can. Just relax, close your eyes, and listen to the beautiful words of Hannah.
Yeah. Hi, guys. So like Adam said, just give yourself a second to settle the best ways that you know how. And then go ahead and start to tap into your breath. Just notice where it's at. And then as you're ready, start to take it down deeper into your body. Start to bring your breath into your heart center. You can even imagine that your heart is actually breathing you. Each breath in, you feel your chest lift and expand. You can imagine that you've got this energy field that is expanding with you, with that breath, as your chest lifts. Taking in whatever you need in this moment, this gentle stillness. And then go ahead and call in something that you feel really grateful for in this moment. What's lighting you up right now? You can tune into something that's happening currently, or you can draw back on a memory and breathe that into your heart now. Feel that expansion. And just let that feeling of gratitude, of joy, start to slowly reach out to all the parts of your body. Just feel that gratitude expanding out and encompassing you now. And now with your breath, I want you to imagine that you can send this gratitude, this heart energy, directly to someone you love. Send this love to them now. Each breath in, you take in love, gratitude, joy. Each breath out, you share it. And just feel this easy renewal. Simple breath and heart awareness. And take just a few more nourishing breaths here. Letting your entire heart center fill. Knowing you get to take all that with you for the rest of this podcast, the rest of your day. And as you're ready, go ahead and gently breathe your eyes open. There we are, friend.
Oh, well, that was just lovely.
There we are,
Gosh,
friend.
I haven't had a guided meditation from you in a long time. That was beautiful.
Yeah, good. Well, always helps me too. That's what I say. I'm like, it's partly for you. It's mostly for me.
Yeah, right, exactly.
You know, it just helps to center. So
most definitely. Yeah, I do appreciate that.
Yeah, good to be here.
Yeah, most definitely. Wow, thank you. That was much needed. And it was interesting, as you started talking about the heart, I read a study recently that was saying that, and I can't remember the parameters at which they're understanding this. It's probably electromagnetic stuff like set up.
Yeah.
But they're understanding now that the heart actually receives more sensory input than the brain does.
Yeah, about 100,000 times.
Yeah, crazy. And then
and
from there,
it's 50,000. It's like 50 or 5,000 times more magnetic.
oh man. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, because then so the heart receives that information and then dictates whether it goes to the gut or the brain.
Yep.
That's
it's actually
so beautiful.
And it's biofield. So we have a electromagnetic biofield that actually radiates about 3 feet out and then 360 degrees all around you.
Right. Okay.
It's measurable. That heart field is what's sensing. Right. It's sensing before the brain. It's sensing before the gut.
Yeah.
And it actually sends more communication up to the brain than the brain sends to the heart. We just think the brain, because it's the central operating system, but it's
we've been known to know,
let's, and I mean, just to take it deeper,
it's
like, so what's the meaning of life? Love.
Right.
Yeah. And so where are we really operating from? Our heart.
Yeah, from a place of love.
And science is catching up to it. I've been talking a lot about this in our mentorship group. Heart Math Institute is a organization that has been doing clinical research on the heart for over 30 years now. And if you go to the Heart Math Institute, I think .com, you can just see the, dozens and dozens and dozens of research studies that they've done. And it's very clinical, it's a little thick for me, but what you pull out of it is amazing. And what the technology is heart coherence, right? Here we go. Let's go. We're just talking about, wasn't going to talk about this, but here we go. I love talking about heart coherence. So heart coherence is really the idea of, bringing your body into coherence through the access of the heart center. Your heart has so you have your heartbeat, right? Okay. And then there's a rhythm that's happening in between the heartbeat. That's called your heart rate variability. Okay. And so it's going in a wave like this. But most of the time, we are in distress, right? Our nervous system is fried. It's constantly being jabbed. And so the line, when it's actually measured, and you can hook up to little monitors, I have one, it's like, all over the map, and it's jagged, it's short, it's big, it's tall, it's all over, right?
So not rhythmic really at all.
Not at all when you're out of coherence.
Right, yeah.
And then that's what your respiratory looks like as well, and that's what your blood pressure looks like as well. And then when you do the simple heart lock-in technique, which is literally what we just did, so you breathe into your heart, and then you imagine, so you kind of imagine that you're taking your breath from your heart, step one.
Right.
Step two is to cultivate feelings of gratitude, joy, regenerative feelings that make us feel good, right? Because that's going to get the oxytocin, the serotonin, all that good shit going in your body. Yep. And then you send it out, because when we share that, then it amplifies it. Yeah. And so this technique takes 30 seconds, you know? And so I teach stress and anxiety reduction to corporate teams. And this is what I teach them. You know, I don't teach them, well, we're about to go into Reiki next, but, you know, I start with awareness, I start with breath, and then we get into the heart coherence stuff. And all of this unwinds our nervous system. And I don't care who you are in this world. Your nervous system is being
assaulted,
challenged. Totally, assault is the better term, you know, but it's true. It's, and that's what I teach as well, is that, you know, this isn't, so many of us live in isolation with our stress and with our anxiety. And I know it's so much more awareness around mental health, and I'm here to be a pioneer of that, and to kind of, you know, I think we both give other tools like yoga and Reiki and sound and all of the things, you know, but heart coherence is such a simple technique, and you can do it literally in your car, you can do it in the grocery store, you can do it while you're trying not to lose your shit on your kid, like that's when I do it. Definitely. You know, like, let me just breathe into my heart. Okay, I've told you to put your shoes on 9 times and we're already 10 minutes late, but so and actually yesterday Monica and I were together. Monica, your partner, my friend. We were together at the spa, and we were sitting in the steam room, and we're just like sitting there across from each other being quiet. And I like went over to her and was like, hey, let's send each other, you know, consciously send each other Reiki and like do this heart coherence meditation with no words from across the room. And we did. And then another friend came in and we were like, ooh, we're going to ping her in too, you know, and we had a little Reiki triangle going in the steam room.
Beautiful.
But yeah, again, just like remembering to do this stuff all day long, instead of just in the meditation room, just in the yoga studio, just when you are sitting on a practitioner's table, you know, like, no, we can do this. And that's, I get in that habit a lot too, where it's like, I need to, you know, I'm so ritualistic with my practice now. It's like, I need to have my meditation cushion. I need to sage myself. I need to have my prayer beads and all this stuff. And it's like, no, you don't. Well, we just were talking about that. We were just talking about that, you know, that I'm the same. I like all of my things too. You know, here we are sitting in your room, and I think I went around, and I was here last night too. So I have touched everything. I'm pretty positive. You know, I picked up all the forks. I've touched all the crystals. Because I love all these tools as well. And they are tools to access these deeper parts of ourselves. I think we were talking about they're tools to recondition some of the habitual thinking that we've had, some of the bullshit messaging that we've had around our spirituality, around our intuition, around connecting to ourselves. But is it the only way I can access this, right? And so one of the things I was doing, you know, I was packing up from my house in Spokane now to come over here to Seattle, and thinking, you know, I usually pack a little mini altar, and I got all the things, and I also have a client over here that I was seeing, so it was like, how much do I want to bring, right? All the things, everything. I must have, you know, Ganesh statue, must have, like, do I though have to pack up everything, or can those deities still hold space from me from where they are? And then, you know, can I look internally? You know, can I ground without my crystals, right? And so that was the challenge. And then I was like, nah, I'm gonna take 3. I better take just a couple. So sure enough, I pack up 3 crystals with me. Put them in my pocket, as we do, and I'm rolling with them. And then yesterday, I grabbed my pants out of the locker at the spa, and boom, all 3 of them hit the tile floor, and all 3 of them broke. All 3 of them. And so it was like, okay. There's your sign.
There's your sign, exactly. All right, hear you loud and clear, universe. Jesus
okay.
Christ.
So yeah, just remembering that, it's all right here. It's all right here at the end of the day.
Definitely.
You know?
Yeah. You know, back when energy wasn't even a word, you know, and people were just practicing things that made them feel good. Yeah, I highly doubt there were talismans. You know, maybe there were their own talismans, but they weren't dependent on those things, right? You know, so let's, you know, I love my buddy Tang, and this reminds me of conversation Tang and I have a lot is, you know, we're you know, holding space for people in meditation circles and things like that. And, you know, one of the common things we get is, I want to have a meditation practice, but I don't have time.
Right.
Okay, cool. What's your goal? My goal is an hour. Okay, cool. Do you have 5 minutes? Yeah, we'll start with 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Right. You don't have to be an hour, right? You don't have to, like, your first thing that you do when you wake up out of bed doesn't mean it doesn't need to be like run a marathon.
Right.
Right. You can take 5 minutes, sit down for 5 minutes, right? Have that 5 minute meditation, reset your life, and then go on about your day, right?
Yep.
Work towards the hour. Yes, definitely. But do you need that hour?
Yep.
Does that need to be your thing? Nah.
Does it feel good? Does it sound fun?
Right.
Do you want, like, and it's like, what's the goal really about?
Yeah.
And yes, an hour of meditation is a wonderful practice, but I certainly, I don't teach that way because that was scary to me. Cause I was that person who was like, I want to be the person who can sit on their cushion for an hour. And, I still want that. Cause I still can't do that. But yet I still teach meditation, right? Because I had to let go of a lot of, preconceived, notions about what it was, number one. But number two, I adjusted with what works for me.
Yeah.
And so I often don't call it a meditation practice. I call it soul work. And I've been doing my soul work for about 1,200 days straight. Like,
there you go.
And so I don't miss I never miss my practice. And that's because it's not an hour meditation that has to look exactly that way, or else it doesn't count,
yes, exactly.
Quote unquote.
Totally.
Right. I'm like, if I do 1 minute of breathing and quietly check in with myself and give myself that stillness, I did soul work today.
Right. Exactly.
If I sit down in my room for a whole hour and meditate and journal and do all the things and pull cards and redo my altar. And I mean, truth is that could take 2 hours, 3 hours.
Totally.
That's easy.
That could be a whole afternoon.
That could be a whole
right
day.
Yeah.
But, that's also soul work.
Yeah.
Right. So that's another, just in terms of just giving ourselves some grace.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. With as ritualistic as I am about my practice, and I do love my practice. And we talked earlier about me trying to downplay not downplay, but let's start releasing some of the seriousness of my practice. There's take for example when I have my kids in town. Sometimes when we have my kids, we're out and about. I don't have that morning hour that I can sit down and meditate. Yeah. Sometimes I don't even have the 5 minutes, right? Totally. Because we're moving. But my practice outside of that, there's still another practice, right? Yeah. I still have something, right? And that something is still fulfilling to me. It might not be the hour that I'm traditionally used to, but it doesn't mean that it's still not doing amazing work for me.
Exactly.
Right. And so me looking at myself in the mirror, in the eyes, and telling myself I love myself 10 times with 10 breaths is as fulfilling to me as my hour-long chanting meditation.
That's a huge practice. Like that's a hard thing to do, actually.
It is. And
so, I just mean just to not downplay either one.
Yeah.
Because they're both, like you said, they're both as valuable. They both have as much weight.
Right.
It's not, and that's just, that's the old culture that we're trying to undo, call it the patriarchy, call it the capitalism, the push, go,
yep.
Must look like this, must be. But really, just to challenge you and challenge your practice, it's like we can fall into the monotony of our practice. And then how connected are you really? When it's just... It's like putting on the snooze button.
Yeah,
it's like, yep, I do this every day. And but are you really going deep? Are you really connecting? Are you getting out of it what you want?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
It's funny. I actually noticed that when I was, right before I started chanting, I noticed that I just gotten into a habit of this is my practice, and I was still feeling good about it, but I didn't feel like I was getting something out of it anymore. And so I think, okay, so we'll talk about Reiki here in a second, but when we went through Reiki 1, you're my Reiki master, and you were talking to us about this. You said that as you start to become attuned and tap into these energies, things will present themselves into your lives, right? For me, it was the I Ching originally. Now there's oracle cards, things like that. Yeah. But so, as these things pop into my head, it's not just now my practice isn't like, oh, that's an interesting thought. It's like, oh, thanks for that direction, spirits. Got it.
Yep.
Cool.
Yep.
Okay. I'm going to put that in my list on things to start working on,
Yep.
And it's not like it's a time frame. Like the spirits are over there and be like, Adam, where's this I Ching that you've been working on? What's going on? Why haven't you memorized, all 64 trigrams and shit? So, no, it's just like, hey, this is information that when you need it, it's going to be there for you.
Yeah.
You're going to be happy that it's around.
Yep.
Totally.
Well, and we were talking about just how many different directions we get to choose in life. you know,
Right.
and spirit doesn't have this timeline. Like it's not, the expectations aren't, they don't have the same fucking to-do list that
Right.
we do. They don't have the same checklist I feel that we are, or imposing the kind of expectation, right? So they're like, if you decide you don't want to do I Ching ever again, you know, or even look at that, it's
Yeah.
like, cool, we decided to go right.
Yeah.
You know, like at the end of the day, the destination is going to be relatively
Yes.
similar, but you get to choose, you know, and that's the journey. That's life. That's why we're being humans in these weird bodies.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, these flesh suits.
Fucking weird bodies.
Yeah, energetic beings in these flesh suits.
Yeah.
Reminds me of Donnie Darko. It's like, why are you look kind of funny in that rabbit suit. It's like, you look kind of funny in that human suit. Oh, that's kind of weird. Never thought about it like that.
Right? It is though. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh man. Well, okay. So you have been a very pivotal person in my life for energy work and teaching me and guiding me in those practices. But I vaguely know your path and getting into it. And I remember being a bystander, listening and watching you walk that path, and then we're like, okay, cool. Now we're taking trainings from Hannah. Fucking dope. Let's do this.
It's been so great.
So yeah, what made you dip that toe in?
Yeah, well, and we, you know, we talk a lot about our similar paths in, it took me a while to get to where I am.
Yeah.
Though the more and more that I look back, it's like, it's a circle, you know, and I just took a couple lefts when Spirit thought I was going right.
Right.
Little loop-de-loop. So
keep on their toes.
Yeah, you know, my story is really, we're similar in that we have restaurant background.
Yes, we do.
We have kind of a, you know, colorful and wild past. I think I took full advantage of my teen years and 20 years to, like, you know, be wild and free, and really though a lot of it also was running and hiding and masking and trying to feel safe and secure and you know, grasping for all the ways to do that. Yeah. So I had a good time, but I felt, I would say all the way up to my, you know, early, until about 29, 30, and really into my early 30s, pretty ungrounded, like no kind of connection to spirit. My mom passed when I was 19. And so I had this, like, you know, I had a connection to her and like her soul because it was, I just, thinking of it any other way, I was like, but I'd kind of also done that, like, giving up on spirit sort of feeling.
Right.
When I was in high school, I think also a similar story. I started searching, right? And we were talking about this earlier. I was raised, you know, let's just say quote unquote kind of Christian, and with that notion that, like, you know, in second grade told to accept Jesus into my heart, otherwise I'd go to hell. And, you know, so it was like, okay, I'm done.
Oh my God.
Right. So I kind of was anti, you know, I wouldn't say anti, but just questioning religion, right? Like, and why are there so many religions in the world? And what's that really about? And so did that in my teens, and then, you know, lost my mom and felt connected and also disconnected, and found, you know, lots of partying. And I look back now at why I loved partying, though. Like, doing hard drugs was like, that's when everybody would connect and we could have deep conversations. And you go like, let's stay up until 3 o'clock in the morning and talk about our shit.
Yeah.
Where you didn't do that with just alcohol.
No, not at all.
You just kind of black out.
Yeah.
Like, hard drugs made you go deep.
Yeah, you used to actually, you know, that's a great point. I've never really thought about that.
I was like, wow, because what did I love about it?
Yeah.
You know, and it was that connection, right?
Yeah.
So anyway, played with that, and
I like that.
Yeah, and worked in restaurants, you know, and that's what the restaurant scene can be. It can be about that,
Yeah,
you know.
most
It's
definitely.
I say I got paid in martinis and and having a good time. So yeah, by the time that I, you know, was ready to just, I was, you know, feeling like there's a different way, I found yoga. You know, I was new-ish mom, had a toddler at home. Marriage was really a lot of pressure there, a lot of pressure at work. I was the director of operations for 4 restaurants.
That's
and
a
so
big job.
yeah, there's about, you know, any given day about 100 employees and 12 to 15 managers and like
Jesus.
3 owners that I worked directly with, and such amazing people and such a cool job. And honestly, as far as like restaurant job goes, like had it really a great job, but really high stress and like kind of losing it. And so I found yoga and hot yoga, and which I was so anti, like, oh, it's disgusting. And I had practiced in my early 20s and really loved it. Had a really cool spiritual practice with this cool teacher, this wiry older woman who was like 65, like 4'9",
firecracker,
kind of those like Andy Warhol glasses and
Yes.
just like wiry and short, salt and pepper hair, and just chaturanga. What? Like, so she was awesome. So yeah, found yoga again, and really, and I always look at like, what is yoga? What is it about it that just drops us all in? It's that stillness. It's that quiet. You don't get that when you just go work out at the gym.
Right.
It's not the same thing. And it's breath. And of course the amazing teachers and, the quotes and, all those things, that these affirmations and hearing your name in a yoga class when you're literally feeling like you're going to pass out and your teacher's encouraging you to keep going. It's felt great.
Yeah.
And so got pretty, hooked. And I think I completed my first 30-day challenge.
Okay.
Never thought I would complete that and did. And Nina, who was the owner at the time of Be Yoga Burien, that's where I practice at, was like, you should teach. And I was like, you are crazy.
Yeah.
Like I'm not, all the things,
All
right?
the things you think you need to be a
Things
teacher,
like thin enough, like bullshit stuff that like I can't even imagine telling myself now, but like, you're not thin enough. You aren't healed enough. You're not zen enough. You don't meditate. You're not calm. You're sassy. You're this, you're that. You're not yoga.
Yeah. You're not this cookie cutter, what we think a yogi should be.
Yeah. And she, challenged me on that. And basically immediately when I kind of like made the shift and was like, wow, I could maybe do that. I really thought it would be a yoga studio. I was like, I'm going to open up a yoga studio. I'm not going to teach in a bunch of studios. It's just for me, I just have that entrepreneurial,
Yes, you do.
it's just like, and I want to be my own boss and I want to call the shots. So yoga studio. And so I started doing all the research. I've met with, wonderful people like Nina and others that really helped me kind of hone in like a business plan and kind of looking at it. And it's like, I'm going to do it one day.
Yeah.
And I just, it's a lot to invest, it's a big leap to take. And I was being cautious and careful, but really what that was about was, that's just spirit, going like, actually,
Yes.
actually, because I had a lot of my own, not that you can't do things until you do your healing, but really this is what I needed was I actually did need to go a couple different directions. So yoga teacher training bar. I started teaching bar first,
that's right. Okay.
Which is
that
combination of like Pilates, yoga, ballet. It's
Those
fun.
little
It's
movements.
dancey.
Oh, God.
1000% not ever what I thought I would do. Like I never, but it was fun. It was fun. And yoga. And then that led into teaching meditation. And then I started doing, and then that led to lots of other things, but Reiki was one of the main things and just fell in love. And also it was that connection back to spirit. And that connection has actually taken several years, and I'm still cultivating that strength because I spent, a good half of my life being like,
Yeah. Right.
is there really anything? And so now I'm having to kind of like, I needed a lot of those confirmations, right?
Yeah.
So the talisman, like we were talking about, the yoga, or excuse me, the oracle cards or whatever it is. And I still use those, right? But just needing that confirmation to feel, I am connected and there is this oneness and there, I've just taken it all so not seriously, but with, honor, it's like the idea of like, I just want to respect it. I want to respect energy. I want to respect spirit. I want to respect yoga. I want to respect these tools. Yeah. So yeah. And then that has just led to, I call myself now a sometimes yoga teacher. What's our friend who, your friend who's the acupuncturist who said that
Marika?
Yeah. I was like, oh, I'm totally going to use that because I love to teach yoga, but I really want to do slow flow with Reiki. Like I just want you to do yin, and it's just an excuse for me to come put my hands on you.
Exactly. Yes. Because you've done like chakra based yoga classes.
Yeah, I started that a couple years ago.
That was great.
Yeah.
I wasn't able to. I was actually teaching during those times you did it, which that was unfortunate for me.
Fun, but
it was great. The people that joined looked like they had a fantastic event.
Yeah, and I'll do that series again. Of COVID happened and I didn't teach it, but it was really a series where each class was based on one chakra. And so all of the music went along with that chakra. All of the meditations went along with supporting that chakra, and then bringing in the Reiki. And then, of course, where I would, touch or call in energy. And when I started doing that a couple years ago, there wasn't group Reiki. Like that wasn't happening in the Seattle area. And I was even told I wanted to start doing it at events, and was told by people like, yeah, it's too weird.
Oh, interesting.
And and this was like 4 years ago.
Wow.
Stuff changes quick,
it
right?
Does, yeah, most definitely. Wow.
So I'm not to say that, the collective has, how it is. Mm-hmm. It has this way of moving as a collective. And so I think that we all were like, we should be doing this. Yeah. And so it just, I think it grew for all of us. So yeah, doing Reiki with yoga, I mean, honestly, and that's why I tell so many practitioners, like massage therapists, like Reiki, like yoga teachers, you're already doing Reiki, you're already practicing energy. Mm-hmm. To me, Reiki is a Japanese modality that's like, this is the system. These are, here's these steps. Mm-hmm. Here's these, tools to call in the energy, to connect, to open your apertures, a ceremony to welcome you in. Right. It's one modality to work with energy. We're all energetic beings, so we're always, we're zinging and zapping each other all day long, whether we like it or not.
It's just now, when you become attuned or when you become aware, definitely when you become attuned, but you can have awareness of energies without being attuned. But it's when you find that awareness, it's like, oh, wow, there's something there.
Yep.
Right. You were talking about spirit earlier, and I've had a pretty checkered past with religion and God and things like that. And I still, to this, where I'm at with my spiritual journey is still very, very struggling for me to, let's say, within the past year, I've actually just started acknowledging source.
Yeah.
And in the way of, and I will only say source because I don't know spirit, I don't know a God, I don't know, things like that. And it was very awkward for me. Mm-hmm. And sometimes, like, I still forget, in my, in the evening, I don't have an evening meditation per se, but I'll have a gratitude practice.
Yeah.
And before I go to bed, I usually fall asleep doing my gratitude practice, which I kind of like, and it's
nice.
like thanking, the world, thanking the universe for what I have and for my gifts and for the people around me, yourself, Monica, all these beautiful people and these experiences and stuff like that. And usually it's source that I'll thank last.
Yeah.
And when I do, though, and when I'm still awake and I feel this like flood of just beautiful emotion and energy come through my body. And it's not like I'm looking for it and I'm not expecting it. Sure. And some of it, we've talked about the placebo effect on past episodes, but, it could be a placebo effect. But you know what? The placebo effect works better than a lot of the things that we know out there anyways, right? So...
well, and what's the point? Like, the point is to feel a certain way.
Exactly.
So if you feel that, you achieved it.
You've done the thing. Exactly. Yes. Basically, what we're trying to do is create that chemical cocktail from the chemicals in our body. And if you could do that without taking a pill,
isn't that the point?
That's what we're trying to do. Yes, we are self-healers.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, and that's the, using, like, let's actualize the potential of our brain, of our heart field, of, and my son's we're reading, Perseus Jackson.
Oh, I love that series.
Right.
Yeah.
And they're just talking about how, in 2,000 years, that Percy is, telling one of the gods, like, this can't be real. This isn't science, and he was like, science. in 2,000 years, your science will be a joke, you know, and like in 2,000 years, you'll be a myth, you know, I just love that, right? Because it's like, God, we're so fucking sure, aren't we?
Right, right.
And I search for the certainty as well. And I still often teach in a way that assures people, right? Like, you know, in presenting, because I come with this kind of like, I'm teaching stress and anxiety reduction to financial advisors.
Right. Yeah. Oh my gosh.
So I'm coming to it with the knowledge of like, I have 20 years of HR background, you know, like, and it took me 4 years to also acknowledge this deep connect, like not to just acknowledge it to myself, but to also then own it and like walk it and like, yep, this is what I think. I believe in God. Like that's whoa for me. Right. So, I teach to what I know to still exist, right? And to try to walk people, I can only walk you through experiences that I've had, right? At least with sincerity and authenticity.
Right.
And so I do teach in that way of like, let's call it somatic touch instead of like me connecting you to your chakras.
Right.
Like let's. And really, chakras that's a cultural term. That's like, so yeah, it's just that recognition of like, we're all looking for validation.
Yes. Because
once again, we are souls who came down here and we're living in these human bodies. Like, I do think we're looking for that validation, and that,
it's almost like, we search for certainty because that's what we're conditioned to do. Like we're now conditioned to say that.
Our brains want to file and categorize and go, that makes sense.
Yep.
That doesn't make sense.
Yep. And our culture has now got us used to science where it has to be repeatable for it to be, something that's acceptable. But although as much as we search for certainty, we can still accept obscurity.
Yep.
Right. And obscurity is very unique to the person because, what's obscure to me is probably normal to you or vice versa. Right. But, if we only accept the certainties and don't at least embrace and acknowledge the obscurities, I mean, some things that we feel and that we experience, we can't replicate.
Right.
Right. And if you can't replicate it, that doesn't mean it didn't impact you.
Right.
It's like hearing a beautiful quote and then forgetting what that quote, the direct wording of that quote, but still feeling the impactfulness of what that quote did to you as you read it. It's like, it's still there. It still did something to you, So what? You can't replicate it.
Right.
Right. Don't search for it. Just embrace that thing that just happened.
Just
fucking
feel
cool,
it.
man.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. And it's crazy to me how long that surrender has taken. Because it sounds so simple when you say it like that.
Yep.
I'm like, just free fall.
And even though this is something, we both know, embrace and love and accept, it's still things we have to remind ourselves of at times. There's still times where I have to look at myself and be like, okay, so for example, I don't think I've told you the story yet. I had an experience in a yen class the other day. And I was, Monica just started class, right? And so comedy of errors that happened. There was a woman that didn't show up to class. It was a full class. She didn't show up. So I was like, cool, I'm going to take class, right? I was there helping Mon check the class in.
Yeah.
So I snuck in. I was in the back corner, right by the only back door. There's a window on it and all that stuff, right? And so Mon had us in this opening meditation. We're all laying on our backs and there's this beautiful moment, right? And I caught myself eavesdropping on a conversation happening in my head. And that sounds very strange, right? But I could hear these voices talking in my head. And I started to pay attention and realized I couldn't understand what they were saying. And it wasn't that they were speaking a different language. It was using terminology in ways that I was not aware of. And so I don't know if I've talked about this in my past, this part of my past or my current actually in previous podcasts, but I do experiment with psilocybin and I do take mushroom journeys and I microdose, right? And through those journeys that I've come in contact with some beautiful spirits and some people that have put me in beautiful paths and given me ideas to marinate on, and that's helped me in my path. That's my path. I'm not saying that should ever be everybody's path, right? But that's that's what's directed me. And in part of those journeys, I've slammed myself into areas of the universe that I have no business being in, right? I've been accepted in those areas, but I'm just like, it's like almost like people turn around, they're like, oh, fuck, you're here. Oh, shit. Okay, cool. We're going to teach this guy some stuff, right? And so I've had these like download moments where I've not known the knowledge that I was gaining, and the deities have talked to me and said, you don't understand it. It's just being like basically osmosis is just being pushed into you.
Yep.
You'll understand it one day when you need it, right? So, all right, so back to yin class. So I'm in yin class and I'm eavesdropping on this conversation happening in my head that I don't understand. So immediately I'm like, oh shit, like these are these deities like talking about all this information that I don't know about. As much as I can, I'm going to pay attention. And I started listening to what they were saying. And I still don't know what they were saying, right? But as I'm listening, all of a sudden I hear this, and I'm going to do this on purpose on the table. I hear a knock, right? And I look up and I look over, and it was the woman who didn't make it to class in time. She had made it to the back door and was trying to get into class. So she's knocking on the window, pulled me out of my meditative sleep, you know, and I'm like, this conversation I'm eavesdropping on. And, but all good, you know, she needed her yoga, obviously, you know, so I got her in, she took my spot, I left.
Wow.
And, but, you know, and part of me was like, shit, man, I got pulled out of that space. What was going on there? But I think I got pulled out because I didn't know what was going on. And my consciousness was like, dude, you need to pay attention to what's going on in your head because there's some cool shit happening in there. See what's going on. And so I've been marinating on that since Sunday, and it's now, what, Wednesday? And so yeah, it's like those little things that like they enter into your life, they enter into your field, and like you have that ability to choose. Okay, that's gonna come with me right now. That's a thing. Or like, oh man, I've got some work to do about that thing. You know, so it's you know, and that's a random occurrence, right? Yeah. If I just dismiss that as like, oh, that was a weird dream.
Yeah.
No, let's talk about that. Let's marinate on that, because, you know, the more I think about it, the more you know, it's unpacking other things, you know, and I still might not be able to dictate that conversation that happened in my head, but it's got me thinking and paying attention now in a more just like very, very sincere way.
I love it.
You know, so everything makes sense in a way. You know, you can find that purpose.
Yeah. Well, and I guess I just, when, as you're telling the story, it's just like, it is so easy to bypass synchronicity. It's so easy to bypass signs, you know, and to kind of live that life that is very disconnected, and that it's like you're just here by yourself living this life, and you're going to live and then you're going to die.
Right.
And I mean, even my kiddo is pretty he's pretty literal. Like we have conversations about soul and spirit every day, and he thinks I'm kind of crazy. Cool. Which is honestly great. I'm stoked that he's challenging me versus being like, no, this is what you're going to be force fed, and you, because that's, you know, like that's
how a lot of us were raised.
Right. Yeah. So, and he's questioning, which is great. But a lot of people live like that, right? I, of course, want him to be more connected and to see all the little things. Yeah. But these signs, you know, you could choose to, like you said, analyze that conversation and be like, wow, the human brain is amazing. Like, what's that about? You know, where are these different points inside of me that I'm not accessing? What's happening here? What's this movie going on in here? Instead of, you know, most of us, and you know, raise my hand, like, want to just fucking turn on Netflix and zone out a little bit, because we're so inundated, because we're so overloaded, because it doesn't feel like we can go within. And then we've been given, you know, all the messaging around us to tell us that, Adam, you're crazy. Yeah. Like, there's medication for you. Right.
Yes. And you should be on it.
And you should be on it.
It'll make you just like all the other lemmings, you know?
You know, so it's like, yeah, just how often we just write ourselves off, and then numb out, and then move on, and then and just kind of continue with the narrative that there is no connection, that there isn't, you know, all of these things lining up for us, you know. And like we were just talking about, you know, the funny little signs that I got on the way here, just thinking about you know, goals that I have in the future, and should it look like this, or oh, it's gonna have to look like that. Even though I don't really want to do that, in order to achieve it, I'd have to give that. Yeah. Wouldn't I?
Yeah, definitely.
And then literally take a left, and then boom, there's an example that no, I would not have to do that thing and make that compromise to have that goal, to have that dream. Yeah. And it was a sign, right? To be like, just so you know, you do have options.
Yeah. It can go either way. You know,
It can
you
go either
be
way.
whiz bang all the things, or you
Yeah.
can do just basic and exactly within the line of what you want to offer.
But
right?
I could have just kept driving right by that sign
Right.
and been like,
I got to put a juice bar in.
I got to put a juice bar in. It's going to have a vegan salad bar. Otherwise, I can't have a wellness center.
Right. Totally. Yeah.
I mean,
make
I'd
or
like
break.
that. It's just I don't want a restaurant.
Right. Yeah.
But
We
anyway,
left restaurants for a reason.
that's right. But like instead, I said, "Oh, that's spirit sending me a sign." And I turned around, I pulled my car over, I got out, I went and looked, I took it in.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I took a picture, then I looked up the website, then I think that kind of reminds me of, I heard your conversation with Larissa, that podcast, and just, the idea of, we are co-creating. This isn't just like you're connected to spirit and then you're being guided and like you just like surrender and now you just get floated through the rest of life on a little, I always talk about the bliss cloud.
Yeah, right.
Like we're just, and that is not it. You are co-creating, you are working with spirit, and you're here to learn lessons, to evolve your soul, to, who knows what the hell is out there, right? And what dimensions we're working with and exactly what the soul's, destination is.
Yeah.
But it's like, I believe that it's a co-creation and that you do have to still work and that was your work, right? Is to like, hey, analyze this conversation, check this out,
Yes.
be curious, be curious.
Yeah.
Instead of write it off or,
Yeah.
Or
It's
or
that-
unpack it too deeply too, right? Like,
That's-
this means
oh,
this.
God
This
damn,
is
yes. That was me at the beginning.
everything,
Oh,
right?
yeah, totally.
Yes, me too.
Everything has a meaning. Why did they say thee instead of them? Like, what the hell just happened?
Yeah.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, it's crazy. And there's it's like an intrinsic knowing, right? And it's that knowing with a G is a new term that I learned recently.
I haven't heard that. What's
Yeah.
that mean? Knowing with a G?
It's intrinsic knowing. It's like you can't explain it. You don't know why you know it, but you just know it, right? And so it's that internal knowing. And so knowing with a G, and that's, I love that, because there is some things that like it's not that I even can't put words or explanations to it, but it's just I don't want to.
Yeah.
It's a feeling and it's an emotion. It's an experience. And sometimes when you really get nitty gritty with the details about the experience, it loses its validity. It loses that specialness to it.
And isn't that the demise of the world, is us trying to distill exactly what it is we think or feel about spirit and then convince everyone else that that's exactly the truth and right? And I mean,
Right.
isn't that religion? Isn't
Yep,
that,
it is.
this is the truth. This is the only truth.
Man. I just finished one of my favorite books, is one of my favorite authors in general is Aldous Huxley. He's written The Island, Brave New World. He's a novelist and also just a creative writer.
Yeah.
But I just finished Brave New World again. It's very 1984-esque, Orson Welles kind of thing. And in that book, in that time frame that they're talking about, there's this perfect, quote unquote, perfect humanity. It's utopian, right? And utopian, we always know, has little problems that are just kind of masked by all the happiness that's going on. It's not protopian, where they're moving towards things that are good, or not dystopian, where it's just this shithole kind of thing, right? And so in this quote unquote utopia, everybody's happy. Everybody has a position. Everybody has a job, a rank in life. And when they start to encounter emotions in their life, they have soma tablets that they take. And everybody's rationed out, I think 6 soma tablets a day that you can take in half-gram doses or full gram. And so if you have an original thought, or you start to have an emotion that you're not familiar with, you take your somas, you forget about it, you sleep for a little while, then you wake back up and you're like, cool, I'm going to go eat some pie.
Wow.
And go have sex with all these people. They have this thing, it's called Orgy Porgy, right? Yeah, it's a great book. It's a really great book. And
I feel like I have heard of it,
it's
and maybe
fantastic.
you've even told me about it.
But it reminds a lot of that it is actually dystopian, because we think that we found peace, we think that we've solved all the problems, everybody's fed, everybody has a job, all the I guess the markables are checked, right, for happiness. But there's no original thought. There's no emotion. There's no sadness to justify the happiness, right? There's no anger to show you how cool happiness and joy can be, right? You're just stuck in this joy place. You're having all the sex, all the food, all the drugs you need. Is that really the life that we want to live? Yes, it checks all the boxes for happiness, but there's no freedom left.
Yeah.
And I think that's where that underlying notion of that book is like, you can have all the things that make you happy, but is that really happiness to you?
Yeah, well, and we talk about that in our mentorship class. We've talked about that with the, with the the balancing of your chakras and why you have your root chakra and you're not all just living up in our crown,
right.
In our third eye,
Yeah.
because we did come here to be humans, and our human experience requires us, currently, at least in this country, to get up and get your kid to school and or soccer or whatever the thing is. Like you have to operate as a human,
Right.
and you can't just you can't
You
be
can't just
at
be
orgy porgy all freaking
Totally.
day long. You
Yeah.
gotta get out and
Yeah,
get some
exactly.
shit done,
Or
and that
even-
doesn't feel as good as an orgy.
Right.
But that's the thing though, is that we humans, and I am guilty. Like I also want to feel good all the time.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's like, that's not what this is about. And how can we be comfortable, just as comfortable with the, not just the pain. Yeah. Navigating pain and grief in our country is also, in our world, is also something we need to, come back to our roots on.
Right.
But it's like, can you just sit with what is, like, just mediocre, just being, like, that's actually really hard for me personally, like, to just sit and that's why I teach meditation, that's why I do this stuff, because I want this space held, I want to hold it for others, I think we need it.
Right. Part of that too starts with the negativity that surrounds the word boredom.
Yeah.
Right. Our kids don't even know how to be bored anymore because there's so many sensory, sensory, activating things, whether it's a tablet or a phone or all these things that they can use now that, my kids sometimes will cut, my youngest mainly, because my oldest is just a book hound. She's always got something doing. But, Harper, my youngest, will come to me like, Dad, I'm bored. I'm like, good.
Right.
Go fucking be bored.
Me
Go
too.
outside and be bored.
Yeah.
Figure it out. Figure out how to just be with yourself. Be cool with it,
And it's a struggle, because they're getting, even with that, like, conscious, like, trying to make him bored, he's still. And then I think because we've, as parents, and I'm also, again, guilty, because we are, we're trying to fight the devices, then we fill them with so many activities, because if we just are at home, then they're going to be wanting to be on the devices, then we have to fight all day with that. So then they're doing 12 activities a day, and we're running them from 8 a.m. in the morning until 8 p.m. at night. And
I have friends that have kids in sports. They go cross country for sports, and these are sports that you don't even know if they're going to be professionals at, make any money at, do anything past their high school.
It's great to be active. It is. But how often are we letting kids just be? Just be bored. Just play. Huck just enrolled in a Waldorf school, and there is a no screen policy at their school. There's not one, yes, they have an administrative office, but it's not even connected to the classrooms.
Right.
And so there's no screens whatsoever. It's all experiential learning. And
that's beautiful.
I want to go to school there myself.
Right. Can I go to school? Can I hang out with
this
Huck
looks
there?
Awesome. Yes. I want to build shelves, and the way that they're teaching them math, and like they still have the same curriculum. It's just they're teaching it in an experiential way, and they're doing memorization, but in a totally different way. And then it's like, now build the shelf so that now you have to apply your skills that you learned with multiplication and division and measurement and teamwork
that.
and which is really cool. I
love that
it too.
There's so many different ways that we can teach our kids, and if anything, I mean, this the COVID time that we're in and moving away from, with kids moving to online learning, a lot of kids faltered with that, but a lot of kids succeeded immensely.
Yep.
And the funny thing is a lot of kids succeeded very well, had a lot of problems in person school. Totally. And vice versa. A lot of kids that did really great in school had a lot of problems doing online schooling. Yep. So I think if anything, what we're seeing is that this broad brush stroke of teaching doesn't work anymore.
I hope so. Because I really...
Yeah.
I hope. I mean,
there's so many smart. I've worked with so many smart kids, and I use the word kids because they were when I met them. They were 16 to 18-year-old kids working as hosts or bussers in restaurants that just come into work and just have no confidence, are very awkward about talking with people in general because a lot of their time is screen time, texting or video games. Right. And it's not that I change them, right? Not at all. But, you know, it takes somebody to recognize something in somebody sometimes for that person to recognize that they have something inside them.
Yep.
You know, and so
to be their muse.
yeah,
And, yep.
encouraging that weirdness, encouraging that, like, hey, I see you drawing at the host stand. Yeah, you're not supposed to be drawing right now, but you know what? That looks awesome.
Yeah.
Can you draw that? And that's how, I mean, honestly, that's how Zen and Not Zen are the other podcasts that I do. The cover art is my buddy Robin and I riding a unicorn.
Right.
With Robin's got a clipboard in his hand and I'm in the front looking like an Asian Santa Claus. That was that exact story. One of our hosts named Miriam, maybe. It's been a while. And, you know, I walked up in the host stand and she was drawing that. And I'm like, one, I didn't know you can draw. Sweet. Two, that's dope as shit.
Yeah.
Good for you. Next time, go in my office and do it so guests don't see you doing it.
Yeah.
But I want to encourage that, right?
Totally.
And I'm not saying that I encouraged her to be an artist and now she's fucking Picasso, but, you know, it takes those...
No, but those are those little breadcrumbs that we all need. You know, that's that sign. That's that encouragement. That's that we all need it.
Yeah.
You know? That's so cool.
Yeah.
I love
and that was actually our kids menu for a long time. Was me
no
and Robin
way.
riding a
Oh my
unicorn.
God. That's so dope.
Yeah, the staff used to bring me the pictures that were left on the tables of the kids drawing and coloring them, and I had them all in my office and shit. That was great.
Oh, that's so cool.
times.
I love that. Yeah. Heck yeah, man.
Oh man. So okay, so you've we've kind of tap danced around soul care for a little while.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And that is, I mean, honestly, we're gonna have a soul care call after this.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Got a call tonight. Yeah. So essentially I have created, and it's still, you know, it's evolving because that's the way I live. And I hope to always keep evolving like that. But
Definitely.
Essentially what the soul care mentorship group is my desire to create what I always wanted, which was mentorship guidance around energy work and around Reiki. And specifically the way that, you know, and I'm currently, you know, I'm trying my best to also teach it in a different way, but Reiki has been taught where you can go get a certification in a day or a weekend. And the messaging often is like, and now you're a healer, and now you can go heal people. Right. And sure, you can, but I was like, but what?
Yeah.
Like, that doesn't make any sense. Yeah. Like, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know what chakras are. I don't know what energy centers are. I don't know what trauma is. I don't know. What am I going to see? And just, I had so many questions. How can I hold space for others? You know? And so what I created was, that what I always wanted, which was mentorship that was consistent, you know, and that also didn't necessarily require, like, currently the group is just an open-ended group. You know, it doesn't, you're not going to get a certification currently for this group. You know, it's just a mentorship program. It's just a group to connect with you know,
like-minded people, right?
With like-minded people. And, you know, we have had a roadmap. We use the chakras. So it's like, you know, call 1 was this, and then call 2 was intuition, and then, you know, sacral chakra. And then we're going into my work, how, you know, and this comes from my teachers who I have had, and how I have felt more connected to myself and to my work is, you know, you need to be rooted in your own, you know, your own connection to spirit, to source. You need to have a sense of your own intuition and how you relate to energy and to your inner voice, and you need to have a connection to your own ancestral roots so that you know where you're drawing on, and so that we're not, as best we can, stepping on others' toes and appropriating and taking, and so I try to teach as much as I can, and I'm still learning more about Japanese culture, and but I try to teach from those, you know, from and I also try to teach in a very real way, like, you're not ready to go open a practice, you know, today with this weekend certification.
I love that honesty about it too. You know, and that's that it almost took some of the pressure off me because, you know, you said,
I think that's why people are shy. And it's like, you need to get a certification. That implies then you need to do something with it.
right.
And it's really like how I teach is like, you know, no. Let's all learn how to be aware and to work with our own energetic bodies. And then if you can then do that with yourself, then, you know, first of all, you're going to show up differently in the world. Right. But then, you know, start to, you know, offer energy to your friends, to your family. But it's like, this is for you. Yeah. This is for you, and to be connected to yourself and to have, you know, gain some rituals, gain some practices that and it does take the pressure off. Yeah.
And I love the way Aubrey Marcus puts it is you have to be fit for service before you can be of service. Yeah. Right. And so like getting you to the point of where you feel, and you don't have to solve all your problems,
no,
right?
Because that's not going to be it. No, there's no such thing. Yeah. You know, there's no such thing. I'm still very much on a healing journey.
If anything, talk about it all the time. I almost feel like I'm farther from whatever perfect would be than I was when I started.
Sure. Well, that's because there's a true acceptance of that. That doesn't even exist.
Exactly. Right. Yes. Yes. And then actually seeing what you would consider flaws or things you want to work on that you wouldn't really see if you didn't have a conscious mind to look at it. Yeah. You know, now that I have that conscious mind, I can look back and see like the insertion point of trauma in certain points and like, damn, that was a long fucking time ago. Yeah. There's a lot of unpacking to do with that. Right. Whereas before it's just like, cool, next glass of wine, please. Yeah. Let's just forget about that.
Yep. I'm good, right? Yep. I'm good. I've talked about it. I'm fine. Good. It's good.
Yeah. I paid somebody $100 an hour to figure that out.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I really tried to teach. And that's why the Soul Care Mentorship Group was started, was like, hey, I need, and you students need a connection. I would say that you know, I'm in contact with everyone that I've ever certified. But also I would say 80%, if not more, are, you know, connected with me in mentorship in some way, shape, or form, if they're not a part of the group. And it really is a place to just come in, be wherever you're at. You know, we have people who are practitioners in the group. We have people who are artists. We have people who do completely different, you know, like not even in the realm of this for their quote unquote 9-to-5 job, you know, and they're just curious about energy. We have people who are there specifically for their own healing. You know, they're there to learn about energy and about their energy centers in their body and how we take on trauma and how these things get stored in our body for their own healing. Yeah. And so the group itself, currently we're meeting twice a month, and it's, you know, come if you can. I offer the group as sliding scale. And it's really to my commitment to be a teacher, you know, and to be a true mentor, and to just share whatever I can about, you know, how to live our best lives, how to thrive, how to feel good, how to heal, how to, you know, and it's from a place of, you know, really, you know, I don't really use the word like I'm a healer. Right. You're the healer.
Exactly.
You're the person who's doing the work. Right. I'm the conduit. I'm there to hold space for you. I'm there to maybe show you a thing or two that I've learned from my teachers, from the people who've helped me walk my path. Right. But I'm certainly not the answer. Right.
Yeah. And I think that takes a lot of pressure off it too, you know.
And for me too.
Yeah. Yeah. There's that moniker, that healer that you talked about, you know, and it's, you know, we have the ability to heal ourselves. Yeah. But I am not your healer, right? I will hold your space, and I will call in the things, and I will do all the stuff that can be done to help you on your healing journey. But I'm not going to wave a magic wand and say some fucking cool words, and all of a sudden you're healed. That's your work.
You know, and all of those, you know, that goes along with too, we talk a lot about this, even the word master and levels and all of that. It's like, I can, you know, a master of what?
Right, exactly. Yeah, like technically I'm a Reiki master. I've gone through all 3 levels with yourself and have beautiful experiences. I feel very confident in the abilities that I have, and I'm part of your soul care group. Yeah. But by no means would I ever call myself a master. Yeah. I'm a Reiki practitioner. I have a mastership level. Yep. Right. But I'll say that sometimes, but I won't even, I'm not, I'm a Reiki master. Nah, I don't feel like
it's about right. That, you know? Just because I think it's a pretty big assumption.
Yeah. Right.
I certainly, you know, there are those that I'm like, yeah, like I mean, I've dedicated my entire life to this work. So, I don't think I can go any harder.
Yeah.
You know, like I don't think I can dedicate, you know, I can't. You know, so it's like, it just is being, right? And so taking the pretentiousness off, and that again is that, you know, it's that Western model that, you know, and I do it too. Like, what's your level? What's your history? You know, because we want to, again, you know.
Yeah, that's our culture, right? We level up, we have accreditations, we have all these things and stuff like that. Yeah, totally.
And I, you know, I get it. I seek it too. But I've gone to plenty of people with, you know, all of the certifications and all of the accreditation, you know,
right,
the things. And it's like, but they don't know how to tap into my heart,
right.
You know?
Right.
So that is just your own work. Yeah. At the end of the day.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I really try to teach from that perspective. And I hope it comes through.
It does. It does. And being, like I said, being a recipient of your knowledge through the trainings and through the soul care group, it's so authentic and it's so beautiful.
Yeah.
Like it's you come from a humanistic place of, hey, I'm on your level, maybe have a little bit more knowledge just because experiential wise, but hey, we're all learning together.
Yep.
And
I mean, that's
so approachable.
And it's like, there have been plenty of aha moments for me in the calls, you know, like, oh yeah, I didn't think of it that way.
Yeah.
And that's great. And yeah, so it's a beautiful place to just kind of come together and get to, I think the thing that I hear most from the students that people are saying is that they just love having a place that they can come and just say like, this happened, or I'm feeling this, or even just to listen to other people talking about it then normalizes and like makes them think about their body and their energy and and their healing in a different way. And so it's been really cool.
Yeah.
We're going to take a break in the for summer. So this is our last, we're going to do June, and then we'll wrap up for the summer, and then we'll come back in September. And I'm offering a Reiki 1 class on June 26th.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
From 10 to 4, and that's at Light Owl Healing in Fremont. I love Light Owl Healing. Maria, the owner, she's just amazing, and the space that she's created is incredible, and the healers that other healers, and see, I can call other people healers.
I know.
It's just me and my, you know, I hate the ego shit. I hate the ego shit, but just beautiful people doing beautiful work at her facility, and so I'm super excited to just hold space in her space because it's such a gorgeous container. So that's June 26th, and we've got some spots open for that. And really, that's going to be, we're going to have an older teenager in that class. And so I'm excited.
Beautiful.
Yeah. To just, again, I mean, how cool, right? What could you imagine learning about Reiki and your energetic body at, as a teenager?
Yeah, totally.
Game changer, huh?
I mean, my kids kind of are, but I can also see and hear their eyes rolling in their head whenever I'm doing.
Well, that's the thing, is that when you go and listen from another teacher, you know, your parent is one thing.
Exactly.
But well, that's like even Huck. You know, I was like, I was listening to your podcast on the way over when we drove over, and he was like, "Oh, that's Adam." Like, the cool, you know, like, oh, neat.
Yeah.
But if I was like, "Oh, I'm on this podcast," he'd be like, "Heh,
yeah, right.
I've heard this before." Repeat. Yeah.
Oh, man,
so
hilarious.
that's happening, and you know, in a transition of moving over to Spokane area, and still working over here in the Seattle area, and doing different things, and navigating what pandemic life looks like,
right, yeah,
you know, deciding.
So I want to just commend you first off for not just the soul care stuff, but I mean, that's beautiful, right? That's beautiful. It's knowledge. It's great experiential work. But I think the thing, the underpinning thing that really I'm so happy for and so thankful for you for doing is creating a community around it. Like, it's not just, you put a label on it, put a name on it, whatever, right? But you've gotten these people to come together in this sangha, this satsang kind of way, this beautiful community of shared knowledge and experience. Doesn't matter what level you're at, doesn't matter what anything, credentials, gender, anything, right?
And we've got people all over. We've got people in Michigan, we've got people in Montana, we've got,
Yeah, and it's so beautiful, you know, to have all that experience to come together, hear the questions, hear the different ways people are thinking about stuff, you know, because all the knowledge lands with you in a very specific way. And so when you start to unpack that in your own way, that leads to other people finding different ways to think about it too. You know, it's like, you know,
you can see it on people's faces on the, they're like, the literal aha, like, it is cool. And it's a great group of people. And I'm really very aware of how lucky I am to, you know, have cultivated that kind of group. And just, you know, I say lucky in terms of like, you know, that's that feeling of just being aware of the blessings that you have around you and like and consciously connecting to them and calling them in. And so I feel lucky to know the people that I know and to have this group and to, I mean, we've been 7 months in now, right? Yeah, about 7 months in. So, I mean, that's a big commitment to, you know, and that's why it is loose the way that it is. It's like, come if you can, you know, if you miss a whole month, you miss a whole month. If you know, if you could come if you can. And if you can't, like that's, I think the other, you know, piece of it is just really trying to make this work accessible, you know, by offering it at sliding scale. And you know me, I'm also like, whatever we need, let's just get people here so that we're talking about our energy, so that we show up differently in the world. I mean, this has been my mission from the very beginning, like when, you know, back to when it was like, I'm going to open a yoga studio. And then it went to an events business where I was doing ceremony.
That's right.
I think, we kind of skipped over that, but it really is, it's always been about, I want to create community. I want it. Actually, I'm like, oh yeah, thank you and I created some community. This is great.
Yes, you have.
I wanted to create community and I wanted it to be heart-centered. And one of my dear friends who I started off working with her as a coach was like, well, what does that mean though? Like, what does it mean? Because it sounds so simple, you know, but it's so profound to live from your heart.
Right.
And it does have a ripple effect that changes the world. And I do think that it's that simple and it's that profound. You know, show up for yourself first, because then you will show up differently for the world, and that's how we change this.
It is.
That's how we create
little
change.
Steps, definitely. Yeah. You, I know one of the things you're super passionate about is helping people self-actualize. Yeah. And I think you know that's part of that path. You know, and it's. And I think, you know, so I'm going to speak from my own personal experience with self-actualization. I kind of got caught in the I guess not even understanding. I got caught in the expectation of myself actualization. Yeah. Right. So working on me, working on myself, and to self-actualize. But I never looked at what after self-actualization looks like. And I don't think there's like a moment that you self-actualize and everything makes sense and then you're good for there. I think there's multiple self-actualization moments. But it was in my own ignorance of it was very egocentric, right? I'm going to self-actualize and I'm going to be a better person. I can be more of service to people that I know, right? Right. But I think and Simon Sinek talks a lot about this, where it's okay, self-actualize, great, but then help somebody else self-actualize, right? Yep. And that's what I love that you're doing, is that it's not just like, I'm going to self-actualize and be a better person. It's like, okay, how do we become better people? Yeah. How do we group self-actualize? Yeah. How do we get to a better place as a group? Because when you self-actualize, you know, it brings you to an understanding of how insignificant you are, right? We go into it, at least, okay, again, for me, I went into it with self-actualization with the desire to find the capital S self, right? And if I find myself with the capital S, then I can be of better service. Yeah. But what's actually happening is that I'm recognizing how insignificant that I am on a grander scale. I'm a small s, like lowercase s. But in doing that, you realize how much the bigger picture is impacted by the small s once you realize how insignificant you are as an individual, but how significant your growth is as the community and the mass is developed, right? Yeah. And so that's that, you know, you kind of take that egocentric self away as you start to understand what the true path is. Yeah. And it's like, oh, I see so much more light now. Jesus Christ, you know? Yes. And I really appreciate that.
Well, thank you for the recognition. It's, you know, it's a journey, but I believe it. And I, you know, once again, just to go back to the science of it, it's like, and now we have things like our human biofield to back the fact up that if you don't, you know, and that's what I'm teaching people. It's like, you want to work together, you want to achieve things. Do you want to be the best athlete? Do you want to, you know, have the most sales? Do you want to create abundance?
Right.
You need to get into coherence with yourself and then in coherence with whoever is around you. Because if you're out of coherence, you're not going to create anything.
Yeah.
Or it's going to be a struggle, right? When we become, you know, when we're aware that our energy fields are bumping up against each other all day long, and really tune into that and tune into ourselves, like, what can we achieve? We have more compassion. You have more patience. There's more space. And I mean, literally, if you get into the, you know, heart coherence, if you get into awareness and breathing and yoga, I mean, you're physically, you're more capable to handle life. You know,
Right.
there's more resilience.
Yeah.
So they're simple, profound tools, but it's nothing and everything, like you said.
Right. Yeah, exactly. You know, and there's so many of these tools, these helpful hints, these things that are around us, you know, and it's, you know, once you start to pay attention to them, you'll be surprised on how often they're around you.
Yeah.
You know, and you can call it God winks, you can call it little like universal kind of guidance or whatever it is, but you know, it does really kind of help to, I don't want to say it, maybe illuminate a path, but like, you know, it's right there in front of you, you know, start paying attention to it a little bit.
I just think it makes the journey just a little smoother, you know. It's like getting into that, you know, it's like you can go down the highway and it's fun to go in I had a 30-year-old Volvo. Love that car.
Yeah.
It's super fun.
Yeah.
I also really like driving in my new car. Right. It's a lot smoother. Love that sunroof. Things are a lot more smoother.
There you go.
Yeah. Oh, so cool.
Oh man, I love it. So now you're moving over into Spokane.
Yeah.
And setting up shop over there.
Yeah, you know, right now still everything virtual, you know, doing a few in person, starting to, you know, now that people are vaccinated and life is starting to happen again, starting to do in-person sessions, and that's great. And yeah, just really starting to dip my toe. I am definitely still in the let's see what 2021 is gonna have in store, even though we're over halfway through, and really even into 2022. You know, I just think that we are coming off of a year that's unlike any of us have ever dealt with.
Yeah.
I think that the dust is still settling from the transmutation. And I'm not about to try to the lesson was to go slow. Yeah. So I'm trying to go slow, you know, and that's hard. That's actually hard conscious work, you know? So I'm looking for, you know, right before the pandemic, I was about to open up a small studio space, just a little baby, but got derailed in the middle of COVID, and all for the best, because now I've moved over to the Spokane area and I'm super excited about the opportunity that's over there.
Yeah.
Part of me would love to, not part of me, all parts of me would love to open up a space over there. But like I said, going slow and deciding what that perfect thing might look like. But for now, just offering virtual stuff, offering, you know, the in-person Reiki class coming up here in this summer in Seattle on June 26th. And then, taking one-on-one clients when I can, and for sure virtual one-on-one clients anytime.
Yeah, and we'll leave notes in the links in the show notes for all the ways to get in touch with you, websites, bookings, things like that.
That would be great.
Yeah, most definitely.
I would love to connect with people. I love this podcast. I think it's so cool that you are here doing it. It's so fun to just be mic'd up with you, man.
I know it's you know, like I said, this is really self-serving in a lot of ways, you know, just to actually get some of these conversations that we have on record.
Heck yeah.
You know, it's great, you know, and they're, you know, not to be boastful, but you know, the things that we talk about, they're potential to impact other people, right?
Yeah.
It's not just us. We shouldn't and it's not like we're, you know, holding on to information at all, but you know, when we have the ability now to easily record just cool conversations and interesting topics and esoteric kind of stuff that we're thinking about, why not put it out there? Because that, again, that helps those people self-actualize.
Yeah.
You know, because a lot of times, like, you know, there's a number of podcasts that I listen to that expand my consciousness. Sean Carroll's Mindscape, there's the Future Thinkers, there's Aubrey Marcus, there's all these people that have these awesome ways of thinking that if I didn't get that little nugget planted in my head somewhere, I wouldn't be thinking about it. Right. And so, like, let's plant those nuggets.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Well, I'm excited. I'm excited you're doing the podcast, and I'm excited to see where it's going to lead. I'm excited what's next.
Thank you.
The book. Oh,
God,
you're like, sure, Hannah, put it on the list.
Oh man, I've got so many book ideas right now. I'm trying my hardest just to wrangle an idea and just to it.
I feel you.
I've written a book. It's not anywhere near where it needs to be, but I've gotten content.
Amazing.
And I just want to burn it.
Maybe you should.
I should. I think I should. And I'm not saying that is in the I'm gonna light it right now.
Such a energy medicine thing to say. Yes, I think you should burn that.
Yep, totally.
I haven't even asked you one thing about maybe you should burn that shit.
No, burn it.
You know why I think that? Yeah.
But you know, and I okay, so I'm not saying that in the sense that like I don't appreciate the process and I don't appreciate the content that I wrote, but it's the first attempt I've had at writing a book. I was just going to say
that's the point. It is to recognize that it's a process.
Yes.
And that maybe the first thing that you write isn't your manuscript, you know, or isn't your novel, or
right.
You know, and I think again, it's another practice of the ego, letting go of you know, and letting things be transmuted so that we can. It's the, you know, we were just talking about this, you know, when you clear or release energy.
Yeah.
Then, you know, calling in something new. And so it's a chance to kind of create that space for what is supposed to come through.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
yeah,
with the right context and ceremony, and you burn that shit.
I think honestly, like, all joking aside, I think that would be helpful.
Yeah.
Because the first thing I'm trying to write right now is be kind of like a memoir about my past, where I've at. And part of, I think, where I'm running into problems is that I'm not ready to be honest about my past. I've done some very questionable things.
Yeah.
I've had and I talked about it in the podcast where Monica interviewed me. But, you know, I've done some weird things in my past, and I've you know, inadvertently or purposefully hurt some people.
Yeah.
And so writing about that stuff really makes me face it and then really understand if I've reconciled that stuff.
Yeah, and the potential that you're going to share it.
Yeah, it is scary. It's scary to even just write it and know that nobody's going to read it except for me. You know, to put some of the shit that I've done in life. You know, and so but I'm not afraid of that. I'm embracing that, because now it's like, okay, dude, you got to, for your personal healing journey, these are some things you need to figure out how to talk about. And before just putting them on blast in a book, I need to reconcile some stuff with some people and share my truths and apologize and you know, find that kind of peace with myself before I can just put it out there. Because I mean, not to say that anybody would ever read anything I put out, but one of my fears is to put out something that, you know, might, and I would never use people's names, but refer to somebody in some kind of context that they might see it and be like, oh yeah, that's right, that fucker did that.
Yeah.
And I'm not over that yet because he's never apologized or
reharm and
you know, and so, you know, that's my work.
Yeah, man. And, you know, so I just think the burning could be actually really beautiful for that, because I think too with writing, when I try to go back to a meditation that I've written before and then retweak it, it often doesn't land. And I can't flow with it. Then if I try to read it, I'm like, oh, sounds like two meditations I slapped together. Right. Yeah. You know? So I could see that with the book, right? Like, or just your words, that whatever needed to continue, whatever needs to come over into the, you know, the completed form will come over. Yeah. And like, almost like scrap it so you're not referencing it. Yeah. You know?
Definitely. Yeah. Like, oh, I wanted to put that story in. It's like,
what was that? How did I write that sentence? How did that come through? That was so good that first time, you know? And just letting it like come through new again and again and again and again until you see yourself in the light that you're trying to share.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good luck.
Process,
I'm
yeah.
stoked, dude.
Fucking
I'm stoked to hear that.
Good
yeah.
Lord, man.
That is.
Well, now that I've said it on a podcast, I better start writing it.
It's the best way. I
yeah.
freaking love accountability for that, you know, and not pressure, right? It's nobody's putting any pressure on you but you.
Yep.
But I enjoy accountability in that way. It works for me.
Yeah.
It works for the masochist in me.
Exactly. Oh man. So as we start to round down here, what are the things that the next steps for you? Like, what are you looking at to work on? Like, because you're such a teacher, and to teach, you got to learn, right?
Yep.
And so what are you learning right now?
Yeah, I would say that is where I'm, currently I'm constantly seeking knowledge. I will be a forever student. I always want to learn more. This last year during COVID, I spent a lot of time studying my own ancestry and
that's right, yeah.
and diving into my lineage and doing some ritual and healing and studying with Daniel 4. And so that was really cool. And right now, I'm in a transition period, and it's that feeling of, because we just moved. Huck and I just moved over to Spokane. A lot of things are in limbo right now.
Yeah.
And so it feels like I've got a lot of pots simmering.
Yeah.
And I'm not quite sure which one to turn up first.
Okay.
Kind of feel. With the mentorship program, I'm trying to decide, I think I'll keep it as one just this ongoing group that just meets, and just can be a community together. And then though I do have, and I know some of our students have a desire to, I call myself a soul care practitioner, and that's like the soul care group, it's like to really study more the practitioner side where we really are doing like one-on-one and, how do you actually turn this into a practice that you share with others? That's a desire, but I also don't want to push it, And so it's like, could I turn it into an 8-week course? I could.
Right. Yeah.
But is that how I want to teach?
Yes.
Do I want to open up the space? And, that's my ultimate desire, is to have the space where I can be one-on-one and I can teach in in classroom and in workshops and really see faces. But I also really loved that I got pushed into virtual last year, because it was a hard no for me, I don't want to do that kind of stuff. And it doesn't even work. How would it work?
Yeah.
And now I'm like, oh, this is so great. And it's so convenient, for doing like the mentorship group. It makes it affordable for people because they don't have to take time off work. They don't have to commute. They don't have to, I'm stoked to pay this exchange for that. And this feels good for everybody because we're not having to put ourselves out to get there. But then at the same time, there's just beauty in that, human connection.
Right.
So
and
a lot of things simmering is essentially what's up. And, and trying to be okay with that. Like I said, I think the message was to go slow. And so I have in the past really struggled with my own actualization. What am I going to be when I grow up?
Right.
And now I'm like, oh, I'm going to always be evolving.
Yes.
Always evolving. I can just really relax a little bit. So, I want to continue doing stress and anxiety reduction training with corporate people. I want to continue doing things like working with caregivers and teaching them heart coherence and Reiki, and I just want to continue helping people.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
So, yeah.
The thing you just said about just always evolving, continuously. There's a story about Buddha that, so Buddha sat down with, he had 2 disciples. And both disciples have been working under Buddha for about 10, 15 years. And they were having their check-in, right? And so Buddha sat down with the first disciple. And Buddha said, okay, hey, you're doing great. You're doing all the things you need to do. You're on the right path. I know I told you that you would find enlightenment if you walked all these paths and did all these things within 15 years. And it's been 15 years. I think you're on the right path, but it's going to be a little bit longer. Let's say another about 10 years, and then you'll find enlightenment, right? So disciple looked at Buddha and basically was like, go fuck yourself. You said 15 years. I don't got another 10 years.
Isn't the deal.
Right. I'm out. Right. I'm out. You go find peace on yourself. So Buddha's like, all right, that's fine. And so the second disciple comes in, and Buddha sat down with him and said, okay, hey, so doing great. You're walking the path. You've been here for 15 years, and I know I said 15 years, you'd find enlightenment. I think you got about another 15 years ahead of you, right? You got some time, but you're doing great. You know, you're on the right path. And the disciple looked at him and was like, fucking awesome.
Yeah.
It's great. I'm on the right path.
Yeah.
That's all that matters. Yeah. You know, putting that foot in front of the other. Yeah. And that's it. It's like, it doesn't matter how long it takes. Yep. It doesn't matter how much shit we got to go through, or how many lessons we got to learn. It's like, you intrinsically know you're doing right by you. Yeah. Right. And that's what it is. Yep. You know, you're walking your path, you're doing what you feel is right, you're living wholesomely in your own morals and values.
You're constantly needing tending to.
Yeah.
You know, it's not a set it and forget it kind of deal. You know, we just got to constantly be tending to our own garden.
Yep. And that's that conscious living, right? That's how we live in consciousness. We understand the moves that we're making, why we make them. Even if they're bad moves, we consciously made that decision, you know, and it is a practice.
Yeah. And trying to create that sacredness where you can, you know, that beauty where you can, and that appreciation and that gratitude, because it does make the journey a lot more enjoyable, a little softer, you know? So, yeah.
Well, you know, and that's a beautiful segue, because ever since we've started working together, my personal journey has been a lot softer and a lot more manageable and a lot more beautiful. And I do thank you for a lot of that.
Oh, I love it. I'm gonna start crying on the podcast.
I know. We're just gonna hug it out. You're gonna hear microphones clanging.
I've
here.
already
That's
clanged
it.
a couple times. That's that's the rookie in me. This has been so great. Thank you so much for having me. And I feel the exact same way. I learned so much from you, and I adore what you bring to this world, and I'm grateful too.
Well, thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, friend.
And as like I said, I'll leave all the show notes, links for everything that you need. And but if you need anything from Hannah or myself, please reach out. We are here to help you actualize, so we can all actualize as a group.
That's right.
So we'll see you next time, folks. Thank you so much.
Bye, everybody.
All right. Thanks so much for joining us. That was the lovely Hannah Talbot. Check out the show notes for any links or mentions there. And like the podcast, share it if you wish, and let's help grow the community. So much fun having these beautiful conversations. Thanks for being part of them. Obeisance to you all. We'll see you next time.